Welcome back to the second half of this episode. Now we're getting to the second half of the topics. And for most memorable quotes, I had sorry kid, Superman couldn't make it, but you got an upgrade from Green Lantern. Also, yeah, and he's not even a very good one, but he's out there alone and he's probably scared. I don't need your help. I'm Mr. Terrific. Also, I love you, Lois. I probably should have told you that a long time ago. Also Lex Luthor's I'm aware envy consumes my every waking moment. Maybe that's the real punk rock from Superman. And then finally, your choices, Clark, your actions, that's what makes you who you are. To you, Barry, did you have any memorable quotes or any particular dialogue that you liked the most in this movie?
I wouldn't say a single line. It's the couple different monologues from Superman
Mm,
that are the most compelling. Like I couldn't give you like a single one-liner throughout the movie, not in the same way,
yeah.
but it's those couple monologues of Superman and Lex Luthor's response with the envy consumes every
Yeah.
moment where you get like it's almost Shakespearean where he's immediately giving his motive, like his motivation for what he's doing and why he's doing it, and you, the audience, just all right. And he's still terrible. Moving
Yeah.
on. But it is those couple monologues, like the one with um maybe that's the real punk rock, or when Superman confronts Lex Luthor at the end
Yeah.
and goes, "Well, that's where you're wrong about me. Like I'm just as human as everybody else."
Hmm.
Like it's those two monologues that like carry the movie, carry the themes of the movie.
Hmm. Definitely.
And especially having seen like arguably the movie go viral through like Instagram and TikTok to see those two monologues again and again says a
Especially
lot
TikTok.
to
I was
audience.
like,
Yeah.
oh
Yes,
wow,
like I think that says a
wow.
Like
lot
crazy.
about the audience reaction
Yeah.
to the
Mm.
movie.
Definitely. To Alex, were there any memorable quotes you had or certain conversation in the film?
Well, I will say to piggyback on what Barry said, the best monologue is that monologue he has towards Lex, where he's basically saying like, I'm trying to be human, like even with all this power, I am human. But the
And I'm
best,
trying to do my best.
right, like
That he
that.
realizes he can mess up, but he's still going to keep going.
Mm,
Right. That's why I made the comment in the beginning of this review. Like, this is a man who, he's all his life he's tried to be a hero with a cape, and we as the people were saying we don't know that toll. We don't, and
yeah.
like to see him bear that weight, we are putting weight on him and him bearing that weight, and we are watching him take that weight, and we don't see him cry, we don't see him do anything, but those moments, his tears will never be revealed in a way where people will understand the amount of weight that he has to take on by choosing to be Superman, because this is a choice. But the best line in the whole movie was "Take me home, Crypto," and he took him
Yeah.
home. And
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm like, whoa, like
Mm,
he really did that. And like, I'm glad that in the promotion of the movie, we got the first scene. Cause now when I
Mhm.
watched the movie, it made total sense of why it was the first scene of the movie. Um, but yeah, this is why I said like, although I do think Man of Steel is a better film altogether, this film I think is a really good start for the DCU, and it's my I will say this is my favorite Superman film, and this is coming from somebody who's not a big Superman fan, because not to throw race into it, but as a black man, I cannot relate to Superman, given the fact that this is a man with all power.
yeah.
And like the superheroes that I've like, for instance, Batman has no power, but the reason why I love relating to him is because his mind is powerful.
Yeah. I mean,
Which is,
he's just
you
so
know,
much more of a relatable character to me.
Mhm.
exactly. But James Gunn, in a way, made this
He did
Superman
make this one, yeah. Bring down to
so
earth.
Very
He
relatable,
brought him
relatable.
down to earth.
Very
He brought him
relatable.
down to
to a
earth.
point where I wanted to wear a cape. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
I see
I
it
could be that
now.
guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I see it now, and I'm like, okay, because like when I think about it, no one really wants to be a superhero like this to save these ungrateful people. Man, please.
Now, in contrast, I think we to see the opposite of that, particularly. Let's talk about quotes. We'll talk about scenes.
Mhm.
Do we want to talk about Malik in the Pocket Universe?
Who's
Because I
I?
do think we see throughout the movie multiple people like Superman inspires other people to be like him, to want to
Well, yeah.
Oh,
walk.
okay, yeah.
Like
I see what you're
they
saying.
will meet you in
Yeah,
the sun or some such from Man of
yeah.
Steel,
yeah,
where it's Malik who arguably stands up for Superman when Superman can't, literally can't
Literally can't
himself.
do it. Yeah, literally can't.
yeah,
Yeah.
And in a sense, it's Malik who it's his tragic death that forces him, not forces, but so deeply compels Metamorpho to believe in Superman.
yeah.
That's a good point. That's a
That
really
is a
We
that's
would
a
not
really
have
good
the
one.
second half of the
Yeah.
movie if not for Malik, if not for
Yeah.
Superman's influence, his respect, having been Superman for this, I think it was 3 years, as mentioned in the
Hmm.
opening crawl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Three. Yeah.
That
And,
says a
and,
lot about Superman's character.
and can I say I want to point out James Gunn did a good job making these characters comic book accurate because Ultraman is another version of Superman on another Earth. Metamorpho literally looked right off the
He looked
comics.
right out of Justice League or
R-
out of Superman.
r- right after like I was like, oh my god. Same now I because I felt iffy about Nathan Fillion being Guy Gardner because well one they've been trying to make Nathan Fillion Green Lantern for years, and the fact that this has happened now I'm like he's too old. But he and I did not like the wig. You can tell he's like, bro,
Yeah. Come
like
on
we can
now.
tell,
Come on.
we can tell you're
I
wearing
think
that
that's the
wig.
point. That's the
Yeah.
point.
But he pulled it off and I loved it. So he that's why I said he did a good job ripping these characters and directing the actors to become the characters we've been watching for years. I feel like I watched another episode of Justice League Unlimited, like a new season. This is what we got, or a rebooted season of that.
Hmm.
And I can't wait to see that. And I don't know if you saw it, quite spoiler, they tease Gotham City. There's a sign where there's a big fight with a kaiju where people are exiting to Gotham City or next
Yep.
left. And then also I think they're kind of teasing League of Superheroes to a certain extent, because of how young Superman looks. Um, so yeah, if they do that with Supergirl, I think that that would be great too. If they go down that route and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Definitely. Getting to our next topic, what did you like the most about the storyline? And I feel as though the humanity of this Superman, even though like we have, I have had like my issues with pacing and certain things, but the humanity of him and him like actually being like a very down to earth Superman, which I mean, we haven't seen like a down to earth Superman in in a long time. I think that part of it was like something that James Gunn really nailed perfectly, and he made that something, as Alex was mentioning, was like, yo, I could be that guy. Like I could have a cape, and that part I thought was really impressive. To you, Alex, like, was there a particular element of the storyline that you liked the most?
Um, that I love the fact that Superman was going to the Fortress of Solitude a lot, not just to recharge, but to make what James Gunn was showing us is that even Superman has a getaway.
Yeah,
That's what I loved about it. Like Superman has a place where he can go to mentally, physically,
just like Batman has a
emotionally.
Batman cave, just like a Batman.
E- Exactly,
Right.
exactly. Because and Man of Steel, we've only seen him. We saw him go up there to get his suit,
Yeah,
right?
that.
We don't see him visiting there often. But when you watch again the animated series and the comic books, it was pretty much Superman's like home. Like he was always
Mm-hmm.
going there if he didn't go to his apartment. So I love that. There's one thing I did want to point out that I did not like, but I forgot what it was. So I'm sure it's gonna come back to me. Um, I can't remember what it was that I did not like. Oh, that's what it was. So how could Superman's biological parents, who love him so much, send him to Earth to rule? I didn't get so you
Mhm.
love him enough to terrorize other people. And that's why and James Gunn clarifies this in interviews. He
Hmm.
says, no, that's what they wanted him to do. Like this, it was not doctored. There isn't another tape. His parents did love Clark, but they wanted him to take over Earth. We have never seen that. Maybe in alter universes of Superman, yes, we
Right.
have. Ultraman is one of those people, right? There's actually in the Justice League Unlimited where Superman kills Lex Luthor, and I there's like a comment made between one of the Justice Leaguers saying, "Did his family want this?" or something like that. Like, did his parents want him to come to Earth and rule over people? How he's governing over people, and then like it's in a pocket universe, so it's not our main star Superman. So it made me think like, is James Gunn setting up where are we gonna get an alternate version of Superman where him and the rest of the Justice League are literally like are ruling the earth under their leadership? And I think that that would be actually interesting to see in live action. But the fact that his parents, which I did not like, who loved him so much to sacrifice their planet, send him to another planet to rule that. So what's the point? Okay, I was like, well, what's the point of sending him to Earth? That I mean, was that the point? That's what I did not like, unfortunately. And then my thing is, we were talking about pacing. It paced too quickly about how Lex Luthor just knew how to get to the Fortress of Solitude, and he just knew when he was gaining this video that there was going to be something incriminating in it. And but how would you know that if you've only studied Superman from his perspective on Earth, not outside of that? So those are
Yeah.
the only
I do
two.
think there were some plot holes. There were some plot holes in
There
this.
was a couple plot holes that I did not like, but overall, just seeing Superman be Superman in this universe was what stood out to me and was one of my favorite things that I loved.
Definitely. To you, Barrett, what element of this storyline did you like the most?
I'll say the commentary throughout. There's a lot of social commentary throughout the movie. I think very clear comparison between the Baravia and Jaranpur. See
Mm,
very clearly it's Israel and Gaza
yeah,
comparisons in there.
definitely.
Gurkos, I have no idea how you can see
Definitely.
Gurkos and not see Netanyahu.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
I even
absolutely.
thought like by the end of like towards the second half of the movie, you even get the okay, so Lex Luthor, the billionaire who wants to be president, because we've seen that in some Justice League, some comic books, is funding this war to split not Gaza 50-50 so we can see what happens there. That was back in February for real, with a certain video that we all probably saw.
Yeah.
So to see that show up in a very mainstream movie,
Hmm.
mind you, Palestine was in the Oscars, and the director, one of the two directors of that movie, was kidnapped in Israel, no less. So to see this movie and not just go like kindness is the real punk rock, it's to see Superman himself go. It should not be difficult to recognize what is right and what is wrong, extending far beyond yourself, to extend beyond your neighbor in Smallville or Metropolis, but to, in his capacity, to have the ability to go all the way to Arabia
Yeah.
to do what he believes is right. Or even all the way at the end of the movie, where I have no doubt we're going to see some commentary play out, both in universe and out of universe, with Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and Hot Girl seemingly destabilizing a country.
Hmm.
Not to say that what they did was not wrong necessarily, but that's also what we already saw between Lois and Superman by the beginning of the movie, where his actions have consequences well beyond himself.
Yeah. That's a great point.
I want to point out something really quick because you that was such
Yeah.
a
So
good
good. So good.
such a good point. This is what I mean by the realism, bringing real life elements into this movie. I love that, and there are people, and there's an actor who played Superman. I forget his name. He played Superman and Superman and Lois.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that guy,
Dean Cain. Yes.
Dean Cain,
yeah,
made some comments in
yeah.
regards to Superman being an immigrant, and I'm like, dude, and I wanted to post this, but I didn't. There's a scene even in that show where
In his
Superman
show where he
in his
plays Superman.
where he plays Superman, where a cop asks him, "Do you have a green card?"
Literally,
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm like,
dog.
you idiot, and like you, and for you, because he's a Trump supporter. Let's just say what it is.
Yeah,
For
Now,
you,
mind you, according to some news today, this is 8/8/2025. Some news today came out that he either attempted or has joined ICE as an agent.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah,
said that he was trying
This
to.
is
that's
not some flippant comment.
Yeah,
He
he's trying.
that,
certainly believes himself to be correct in his actions, and his
yeah.
actions are very not
I
Superman.
saw that like he already has like he has joined
Right,
ICE.
right. There's a
Yes,
photo
yes.
Yeah,
on Instagram of him wearing an ICE
yeah,
uniform,
yeah.
and I'm like, wow.
Oh, that's
And
crazy.
you know what? Someone in the comment section said, "Hey, what if ICE comes pick him up while he's on the way to work? Like literally deports him while he's on the way to work." And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
said, and then also there was another comment that said, this is obviously an alternate version of Superman because
Like it has to be.
our
yeah.
Superman
My Superman would never.
would never
I would
do
never do
this.
that.
So, so that's why I love how this movie is intentionally pointing out that all of us, if we really wanted to, can be super and choose to be kind amongst all of us, different races and things of that nature, and point out that if something like this, like this coup that's happening in Gaza and all this other stuff, if we have the power to fix it, we should
Yeah,
and do something about it. So that's why I'm glad he Barrett made that point because it's literally pointing out what we are literally facing in real time.
currently. Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. Getting to our last topic, 10 years from now, do you still think it's going to be watchable and intriguing? Um, as we've mentioned, I think James Gunn, like this is the perfect, like this is a really good launching pad film for like what he's trying to do for the rest of this universe. I think when we look back at it, I mean, he had a lot of expectations. There were a lot of expectations for him,
Oh yes,
and I mean
yes.
that's the thing. Like he had some overwhelming, like yo, like what are you going to do? And he and you know critically acclaimed, like in terms of like what the critics are doing, money wise, like it's doing well for him. And I think we're gonna look back at this like as like a seminal moment for like what he wanted to do for his vision. To you, Barrett, like how do you think this will age another decade from now?
I think how it ages is going to depend on what comes after. Like the movie itself, I think it's social commentary, it's political commentary,
Yeah,
will be very emblematic of its time, very important for its time, but as well as whether we see that this is just a really, really good 2020s, not 2010s or 2000 superhero movie, but a solid 2020s style superhero movie. Whether in 10 years we see it as just that, just that movie I saw in the theater that was really, really great, or if we are able to look in a few years in the future and say, we got this Superman who later went on to do this, this, and this throughout these movies, and that compelled me, that moved me for a span of, let's say, 5 years. Say Supergirl, the not quite Superman 2 that's been mentioned, no doubt a team up movie in the future. Like that will determine the legacy of the movie. I don't think it'll ever be a bad legacy, given that I think the movie does stand on its own. But how it's viewed will change.
definitely. I mean that's a great yeah. With this, like, how it's going to be viewed with the commentary it had, like that's going to be something that's going to definitely have a different type of access and tilting point. To you, Alex, like how do you think this will be like 10 years from now in terms of your estimation? Like, do you think it will still be a watchable and intriguing type of film?
Yes, I do believe that this film is definitely going to age well. Um, I'll put it to you like this. Uh, Christopher Reeve's Superman 1 was probably nostalgically and culture wise is probably one of a lot of people's favorite Superman film.
Yeah,
Like from people who watch Superman when like my parents,
yeah,
your brother, your older brother, you're like that
they
is
love
it.
that.
Now mind you, mind you, they don't talk about everything else after that. They don't talk about. They
Now,
don't talk.
Superman 2 is equally good.
Now,
3 and
yeah,
4
yeah.
are
First,
very much not.
Okay,
yeah. The
so
first two are really good.
okay. See, I haven't seen the second one.
No. Superman 2
You
is one
gotta
of the
see the
best
second one.
superhero
Yeah, you
movies
gotta
ever
see the
made.
second one. Yeah,
It
I
still
have not.
holds up very well.
yeah,
Okay, so I need to see that one.
yeah.
But wait, the first one was with Richard Pryor, right? Richard Pryor was in the first one. Oh,
I thought Gene Hackman was
Both
in.
are Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
no, yeah, no. But Richard Pryor is in one of those films playing in I think it was either Quest for Peace or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Either way,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
no one talks about Superman 3 or 4, and
No, no.
and I don't think that God forbid, at least I don't think that this particular film will fall into that category because, like I said, I think it's reminiscent of what we saw as Superman as a kid. This Superman makes a lot of us believe or think of the animated series, the Justice League animated series. It's funny. I realized this after I watched Superman that Justice League and Justice League Unlimited are both on Netflix. So I started rewatching it, and I'm like, oh my god, like this. It's
Oh no,
almost
I will admit I pulled out my Superman Blu-ray to watch a few episodes over the last week or two, and it's still great. Still
it's
holds up.
it's still great. It still holds, and it brought me back to a child. And this movie took me back to watching those cartoons and what Superman was. Because again, I was never a huge Superman fan in terms of comic books and who he is as a character. However, I did love his portrayal in the cartoons and then obviously in some of the films. So I think that this particular movie will be revered like the first Christopher Reeves movie. I
Richard
just
Pryor
hope.
was in Superman. He was in Superman 3. He was in Superman
Okay,
3.
again, a movie that
Yes.
And a
nobody talks
Not a
31% on
particularly
Rotten
memorable
Tomatoes.
movie.
that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I think it's gonna be in the pantheon, like where Tim Burton did, like Batman, and then Batman Returns. And then you have Christopher Reeve's Superman. I think it fits into that ecosystem of good film because
I
when
think
I
it will
look at
definitely be remembered as a definitive take. Like
definitely
to list it among Superman 78, Batman 89, Batman Begins.
right. That's what I was
Yeah.
leading to, like
Because even
because
Batman Begins is a great film.
oh
I saw
Batman.
Batman Begins again just a couple months ago, and it's
It's
still phenomenal.
amazing.
Oh yeah, Batman
It's
Begins is the best origin story. Now, I remember telling you when we were doing the Fantastic Four review, I'm like, I like the Batman, but the Batman is not. I guess because I'm spoiled from Nolan,
Nolan's
it's not
spoiled.
Nolan.
Yeah.
It's not that, and I can't even say the Batman is comically accurate. It's just Matt Reeves' take on what he believes the Batman to be, which is still
I thought it was
uniquely
great.
good.
I thought it was a great take.
It's
Very, very
it's
good.
a
Still
it's a
very
good
good.
film.
Yeah.
It's a good film. I'm not crapping on it at all. It's
Yeah.
just it's a very detective
It's a different take.
Batman.
Yeah. It's a different
And I do enjoy that. However, that's why I think where Superman like lives into that nostalgia, unique universe of films where I can go back 10 years and watch that. Like I can go back and watch Batman, like those old Batman movies or those old Batman TV shows. So I think that's where it will live. Hopefully, the sequels after will fit that same bill. I'm hoping. I'm really
That's what I'm
hoping.
saying. Because like a lot's gonna be. All eyes are gonna be on the sequel. All eyes are gonna be the sequel.
And I have a problem with I have a problem with the
but-
I do. I really have a problem with what's announced. I get that. I get that. Okay, it's gonna be a superhero team up, Supergirl, Crypto, potentially Monel, or maybe Superboy, whoever. I have a problem with that because that I think that's a little bit too much. But I trust James Gunn and Peter Safran because every
Gun
time
doesn't jam.
I will say this every time.
Yeah,
You're right. Gun does not jam.
As a
I will
bar.
say this: if they make it a family of film like Guardians of the Galaxy, okay, I'm in. If it's that, I'm in.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
definitely think that the sequel, because he's already mentioned that's not going to be Superman 2 exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
My expectation with there already being no rumors, so like there's no screenplay written or anything, I would not be surprised at all to see a Superman Supergirl team up, and mayhaps our first on-screen version of Brainiac.
Oh no, I would
How
love
he fits
that.
into her story and into his story.
What?
That
I
would be
would
That would be a
love
very that would have to be an
that.
original story not seen on screen before.
Or
That would be very compelling, I think.
a Mongol, the guy who had
Some
um
War World stuff in there.
yes. Oh my gosh. And they even if they tease a little bit of Dark Side, bro. That's the one thing I loved about the Snyder cut. The fact that we got Dark Side, I was like, "Oh, bet." But if they do some new God stuff in the second movie, oh my goodness,
that'll
that's
be
going to be
special.
crazy.
That would be absolutely special. Barrett, Alex, it was an absolute pleasure having you guys on. Thank you so much for doing it, and we gotta do it again for I don't know what's the next big movie that we gotta
Absolutely.
definitely gotta do it again, guys. Definitely,
Definitely, definitely.
Of
absolutely.
course, of course.
Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host Wellington Burns. This has been Wellington's Y Zone. See you next time.